Okay, let's give you guys some more practice. So here's a good use of the mean value theorem. By using the mean value theorem, you can actually tell that this here has only one solution. Okay, so show that this thing here only has one and only one solution. So press pause and have a go. Okay, so to do this here, let's just analyze this bit here. Let's just say f of x equals this thing here. Okay, so let's just look at this bit here. So hang on. So let's just say f of x equals that thing above. So when you differentiate it, it will give you this. Okay. Now looking at this, in one of the early videos, we tried to understand this bit here. Whenever you have sine of x times cos of x, we would visualize a circle radius 1, and then let's just say this angle here is at x. So sine of x here would be the height here, and then cos of x would be the width here. So you analyzing this these two blocks multiplying with each other is the same as you multiplying the height and the width as the dot moves around. Okay, so as the dot moves around, when it's zero, when the angle is 0 here, you will have a height of 0, but the across here of 1. So 0 times 1, it will be here, and then by the time the dot is at pi over 2, which is like 90 degrees, the height here, which is sine of x here, the height would be 1, but the across here is 0. So 1 times 0, it would be 0, and then by the time it gets to pi here, the height, which is this bit here, the height here would be 0, the across here would be minus 1, so sine times cos here would be 0, and so on, and then the same goes around here, and your graph will end up looking something like this. So when you consider the product of the two, okay. But the weird thing is that for some reason the highest value is when the angle is pi over 4. So when it's at pi over 4, hang on, for some strange reason, bear with me, for some strange reason, when you consider the product of the two here, for some strange reason, the maximum height, the maximum value of the product of the two would be when the angle is at pi over 4. When it's at pi over 4, the height here would be, I can't remember, 0.7 something. The across here would also be 0.7, around about here. And then when you get this times this here, it will give you 0.5. So the point I'm trying to make here is that the product of the two here will look something like this. The highest value is really 0.5. The lowest here will be negative 0.5. And when you times this, it will look something like this. Okay, so this here would be 1, and then would be 1 here. But the point I'm trying to make is that this whole thing here will always be negative, because you've got 2 times this thing here, so it's trapped in between 1 and negative 1, and then you've got to take away 3. The point here is that collectively this whole thing here will always be negative. Okay, so f prime will always be negative. Now, if f prime is always negative, then it would imply that the original f of x is always decreasing. So if the original function is always decreasing, then you've got this here. If the original function is always decreasing, then you've got something like this. It's always decreasing, and then y equals 5 would look something like this. So there can only be one solution. You see, if the original function is always decreasing, then you could have something like this. It's always decreasing, and let's say y equals 5 is somewhere around here. Then you can only have one solution. Okay, so here you can see that there's only one solution. But if you can actually have a rough understanding of this graph here, because if you look, let's just try and understand the graph. Let's just try and sketch this graph here. You can actually sketch this graph roughly. So you've got this here, sine of x minus 3 here. Let's try and sketch this bit here. If you look at sine of x, let's just look at sine of x. Sine of x will look something like this. Okay, and when you square it, when you square the sine of x, you remove the negative. So your graph will look something like this. It will hover above here. It will just hover above here. And then when you look at, so at the moment you've got this block. Take away this block here. If you draw this block here, it will look something like this. It will be like a graph of y equals minus 3x. So it's like a straight line, but with an intercept of 0. So it will look like this. So here you've got this block plus a tiny amount. Well, plus this tiny amount here. Well, so your whole graph here will look something like this. It will just hover like this. It will just hover around here. So roughly speaking, this graph here will look something like this. It will just hover along the y equals minus 3x. So you can have a rough understanding of this graph here. Okay.